Good evening, students. Now, third and final part of chapter number 9, that is your directive principles of state policy. So, first of all, I have already explained you what is directive principles, and directive principles have been incorporated in chapter number 4 of our constitution. Now, first of all, see this. Directive principles of state have been incorporated. मतलब चैप्टर नंबर 4 में उसको एक स्पेशल जगह दी गई है in constitution. The objective of directive principles of state policy is to guide the present and future center and state governments in the policy making in various policies related field. These principles are directive. The state is not bound to fulfill them, but it's the moral responsibility of the state to keep these principles in the center for framing any policies. The main objective of this principle is to see that any political, social, and economic justice should be available to all. Such a social structure should be established. For the fulfillment of these objectives and aims, state the principles serve as a guideline. There is no provision in the constitution to implement these principles of law. These fundamental principles do not provide any legal support or legal right. Then also, the framing and administrating the laws of states are, these are the fundamentals. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar said, to rule the regime, these policies are the foundations. It means an attempt to establish political democracy in our constitution. Political democracy is incomplete without social and economic democracy. Then, next paragraph. The Indian Constitution has included directive principles of state policy in the four sections of the amendment. The kind of country that we want to create, the kind of society we want to construct, the vision is to reflected in this directive policies. The directive principles are actually these directions given by the constitution to the union and state governments to adopt such policies that would help to establish an unbiased society in our country. The primary aim of this principle is to establish a social system based on social, economic, and political justice. These principles are about the implementation of the objectives and ideals presented in the preamble. These principles are not included in Constitution of India. These principles do not serve legal rights or legal backing or legal utilization. For proper administration of the state, these principles are channelized. These principles incorporate such rights as required for overall development of the mankind. Now, try to understand the meaning of directive principles of state policies. So first of all, I am going to tell you the meaning of that. So directive principles have been incorporated in chapter 4 of our constitution. Directive principles are the directions given by the constitution to the central and state government to adopt just policies for establishing a better country. The directive principles are actually directions given by the constitution to the union and state governments to adopt such policies that would help to establish an unbiased society in our country. Now, what is the aim of directive principles of state policy? So aims are the primary aim of this principle is to establish a social system based on social, economic, and political justice. Then these principles reflect the kind of nation and society we wish to establish. Then these principles talk about how the ideals presented in the preamble can be implemented. And these principles are not included in the Indian constitution. ये खास ध्यान रखना. These principles do not have any legal status or legal backing or legal utilization. Hence, these principles cannot be enforced on government. Instead, these principles serve as guidelines for the states and union as how they can administer the state in a rightful manner. These principles incorporate rights that are required for overall development of mankind. Then, as per the words of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, to rule the region, these principles are the foundation. These words means that an attempt should be made to establish political democracy in our constitution. However, political democracy cannot be achieved alone without social and economic democracy. Hence, to attain political, social, and economic democracy, the directive principles are bifurcated into several sections और वो several sections है ये देखो फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल रिलेटेड टू इकोनॉमी देन सेकंड मुझे पता है इसलिए मैं बोल देता हूँ फटाफट से प्रिंसिपल रिलेटेड टू economic policy that is your first second is your principle related to social policy then third principle related to international and political policies. Then fourth principle related to education and cultural policies. And final principle related to health policies. Now let us begin with principles related to your economic policy. ये बहुत ही important है economic policy मतलब पैसों का कैसे इकोनॉमी को मेंटेन करना है इन इंडिया वो यहाँ पे दिखाया गया है. So for the modification of economic policy, there are certain principles which are given below. Equal distribution of wealth and resources among all class for the welfare of citizen. Then assets and production of resources should not be distributed to certain group or section. This should be administrated by the state. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Then, provision for good health for laborers working at place should be created. Because of financial constraints, the men, women, and young children working at unhygienic places or where health matters are retorted should not be allowed to happen. Next, states should promote cooperation in administration of industrial units by laborers, protection of children, youth against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment to live in healthy and dignified environment. This principle should be developed by state. And relief and leave at a time of delivery should be provided to women. Workers' insurance, bonus, maternity leave, gratuity, and other legal rights should be included in the policy. And to organize agricultural and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines and to prohibit the slaughter of cows मतलब जो काव का काट के खाते हैं ना उसको स्लॉटर ऑफ काउ उसको प्रोहिबिट करना चाहिए मतलब बंद कर देना चाहिए एंड अदर यूजफुल मिल्क प्रोड्यूसिंग कैटल a draft should be drawn for livestock breed like donkeys bullocks cows for halting the slaughter and last point equal legal rights to all states should organize free legal service to the desired citizens who are financially feeble as well as incapable in getting so now understand this. First point ऐसा है the equal distribution of wealth and resources among all classes for the welfare of citizens should be done. And second point says that states should see the assets and production of resources do not get distributed only to certain group or sections of the society. Third one says that equal pay for equal work for both men and women should be given. Fourth point says that provision should be made for good health of laborers. At times, due to financial burden, men, women, and every young children take up works at places which are highly unhygienic or where health is compromised. So this should not be happen. The next point, fifth point says that states should promote cooperation in the administration of industrial units by laborers. Then sixth point says that principles should be developed by state for providing protection to children and youth against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment so as to make them live in healthy and dignified environment. 7 point says that relief and leave at the time of delivery should be provided to women. Then workers insurance बराबर है workers insurance maternity leave gratuity and other legal rights should be included in this policy. And next point says that policy should be made to organize agricultural and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. Then a draft should be drawn for the livestock breeds like donkeys, bullocks, cows, and other milk producing cattle to prohibit their slaughter. And last says that equal rights should be provided to all, which means states should make provisions to provide free legal services to the citizens who are financially weak and are unable to afford it. Okay. Now next is your principles related to social policies. So weaker session social policy. Weaker section of the society, that is scheduled class, scheduled tribe, and backward class, educational and economic right to be conferred, which should be taken in concern by the state. They should be protected against social exploitation and injustice. And uniform civil code should be the concern for all citizens of the country, thereby dispersing and administering justice to all which should be taken in concern by the state. Steps should be taken for social justice in matters of marriages, divorce, adoptions, juvenile justice, बच्चे minors जिसको बोलते हैं assets and properties by the state. And last, the state should make provision for the support and education in matters like to employment, old age, illness, or inauspicious situations, poverty, etc. Now try to understand. The state should see the weaker section of the society. बराबर है? That means your scheduled class, scheduled tribe, and backward class get education and economic rights. Then they should be protected against social exploitation and injustice. Next, they say that states should be concerned for providing uniform civil code for all citizens of the country. This will help for providing and administrating justice to all. And societies should take steps for administrating social justice in matters of marriage, divorce, adoptions, minors, assets, and properties. And the last point says that the state should make provisions for providing support and educate people in matters like right to employment, old age, illness, or inauspicious situations, poverties, etc. Then your third point is principle related to international and political policies. So Panchayati Raj should be established by state, for which proper leadership, officers, and financial aid should be provided to conduct the work in free way. The state should separate its services from corporate mindedness, and it should be in liberty so that judges can be impartial, fearless, and courageous in rendering judgments. The state should make attempts to maintain international peace, security, to establish fair relations between nations, and to increase respect of international law. Now, understand this. So, this says that the state should establish Panchayati Raj. The state should appoint suitable officers who work and provide financial help to establish this system and allow it work independently. The state should separate its services from corporate mindedness. That is, it should have a liberal mindset so that appointed judges can be impartial, fearless, and courageous in rendering judgments or in giving judgments. And third point says that the state should make attempts to make international peace, security, to establish fair relation, मतलब अच्छा relation between nations, and to increase the respect of international law. Now, principle related to education and cultural policies. Free and compulsory education for the children belonging to age group between 6 to 14 years of age is mentioned in the constitution, and it was the fundamental right to education. Then, to preserve and protect state heritage, artifacts, monuments, cultural places, art and buildings, the state should protect these cultural heritage places from distortion, robbery, transitioning, disposal, and deterioration. The state should have the aim of preserving the cultural and historic legacies. Now try to understand. As per our constitution, children in the age group between 6 to 14 years of age should be provided free and compulsory education. Moreover, it is also their fundamental right to obtain their education. States should make effort to preserve and protect state heritage, artifacts, monuments, cultural places, arts and buildings. The state should protect its cultural heritage places and things from distortion मतलब तोड़ने से, robbery चोरी होने से, getting altered मतलब replace करने से, disposal and deterioration चोरी करने से बचाने का. The state should aim at preserving the cultural and historical legacy. मतलब क्या, जो historical हमारे monuments है उनको preserve करना होता है. Then fifth is principle related to health policies. So public wellness and hygiene should be provided along with the provision for better nutrition and health amenities for the people by the state. Means proper खाना पीना वगैरह जो है, proper hygienic food वगैरह मिलना जरूरी है. Then prohibition on harmful drugs, harmful soft drinks and drugs should be done by the state. जैसा अपना state जो dry state है वैसे ही हर एक state में ऐसा सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक्स हो, हार्मफुल सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक्स हो, हार्मफुल ड्रग्स हो, वो सब बैन हो जाना चाहिए. दिस शुड बी फर्दर बैंड एज इट विल क्रिएट हेल्थ हैजार्ड फॉर द पब्लिक. एंड थर्ड पॉइंट, टू प्रिजर्व द एनवायरमेंट विथ लेटेस्ट अमेंडमेंट्स, मतलब लेटेस्ट चेंजेस के साथ प्रिजर्व करना चाहिए. देयर बाय टेकिंग केयर ऑफ फॉरेस्ट एंड वेजिटेशन शुड बी द पॉलिसी ऑफ द स्टेट. Then hygienic environment should be maintained in the working areas of laborers. They should have social and cultural development at time of leisure. Leisure means free time. Entertainment provisions should be there to maintain mental health. This provision should be kept in concern by the state. So, state should see the laborers work in a hygienic environment. Then, state should also see that laborers obtain time and leisure to have social and cultural development. Then, third says the provision for entertainment should be made available to them so that they can refresh themselves and have a healthy mind. Thus, this principle provides guidance to the state to take lead towards the establishment of equal, just, and social order without any exploitation. The directive principles envisage a future society. They guide us to the directions that we should go and lead to our destinations. The upliftment of society and protection of society will be taken care by the state. Fundamental rights limits the state leadership, while directive principles extend state leadership. Fundamental rights make the existence of democracy, while directive principles of society and finance imparts aim for interrelation of democracy. There is no opposition between them. Both of them complete each other. So, what is the reasonable control and limitation? इसका मतलब ये होता है. So our constitution has given six different freedoms to all Indians. Indians are free to enjoy these rights fully. On the other hand, the fact is that we live in a society and so we need to maintain its social structure. Hence, all these six freedoms are given to citizens. They enjoy them with certain restrictions or say reasonable control and limitations. Then the constitution has imposed certain restrictions on these freedoms. These restrictions are laid to achieve specific social purpose. To see that people do not misuse this freedom, certain strict rules and prohibitions have been put on matter related to maintaining public order, national unity, integrity, contempt of court, defamation, public defense and morality, instinct someone for violence, etc. A person has freedom of speech and expression, but the state has the authority to prohibit use of such spoken or written words that promote disharmony, feelings of enmity, hatred, or ill will between the people or in the society. Thank you very much. That's the end of our chapter number 9. Thank you, students.